some praise. Someone praise the Lord. We just watched Monday Night Raw, and the praise that came over all this show is when it hit 11 o'clock, and then it was over. But that's besides the point. We are here for, of course, our October 19th episode of Monday Night Raw review, coming to a laptop literally near your face, or phone, or TV. But literally, the selling point was the season premiere of Monday Night Raw with no off season. I already discussed this in my previous review. You don't have a fucking off season, so you prioritizing season premiere means there have to be a break point, an off period, a day break, a fortnight, or something. For some of you guys that do this 24/7 weekly, even though you guys are in the middle of a pandemic period, even ROH is like, we need to shut down this work rate. Over for no damn reason. The major selling point was the new abundant drafts of superstars coming into Monday Night Raw. And of course, Braun Strowman versus Keith Lee. Retribution facing off against the Hurt Business. A women's tag team fatal 4-way match. And a performance by Elias. That was literally the best part of the show, to be honest. Other than that, the rest of the show can eat a big one. Because, by God, we opened up with the most inconsistent amount of storytelling I've ever seen. So let me get this straight. The new top faction, that's a heel faction, by the way, the Hurt Business, that understandably enough was coming to defend Monday Night Raw because MVP was speaking in business terms. Literally, they are called the Hurt Business. They wouldn't be doing anything for another person unless there was literally business involved, invoking why they have the name. And seeing how it worked logically back when he had the Hurt Clan back on Impact, you would think there'd be a little more logic spanning to why a heel faction that's doing this for personal gain would get involved with a heel faction literally doing this for anarchistic reasons. Oh, because they were overshadowed. The faction doesn't even work in spite because nobody have heard of these people. And it's not because they weren't getting this much TV time. It's because they were stuck on mid-card on the NXT, barely even succeeding. The only person that you notably heard of was Shane Thorne. Because he was in a relevant tag team with Brandon Vink, and he came around jobbing to when Cedric and Ricochet were still tagging. I have no blight to care about this team, and I've literally bet that it'll give it 2 weeks of relevance. And the promo just spans off to Mustafa Ali obviously not having that much of blighter conviction to even like make sure that they have a justified reason why they're even attacking why they're even invading Raw to begin with if they come around jobbing off to the Hurt Business. Last time they had a 6-man tag that ended in a DQ off of one right hand. He didn't have a weapon or anything concealed. And then you then you got a full Nelson by Bobby Lashley as soon as I forgot T-Top something sounds like some crappy battle rap names that were probably recycled over and over again to even get the blink of getting it on TV. And it ends with Dominic Dijakovic getting a full Nelson. After Enziguri's just some high-flying move, no semblance of storytelling. Why wouldn't you add weapons involved? And this was after we opened up immediately with the Fiend Bray Wyatt coming in and Alexa just feeling like one of the simps on the Fiend's freaking OnlyFans coming around just saying, "Let him in," like trying to unleash a goddamn power. As soon as Retribution came, all this time while these guys kept trying to eye each other, Retribution came surrounding them, and then they teleported. And then as soon as before we were about to even get to commercial break, it had the Fiend's face on TV. Like they're trying to bring up some vibe of trying to steal something off Impact. And it's like, this is like year-long stuff that they're crumbling on for what's probably going to last for like 2 months. A major evolution like heel faction. A revolting invading heel faction. And a rip-off Kane. And a rip-off Undertaker thing involving Alexa Bliss. And it's already not working because he lost to a 50-year-old Goldberg. And this Mystique really fell apart when he lost in Hell in a Cell. Or any other match he lost, even though he overly no-sells. Inconsistently. With no storytelling implied. And the only personal thing he's went to was a week-long feud with The Miz back at TLC last year. That's a blight that got The Fiend somehow the only paid player character. You had to pay individually. And for his 2K originals, well, that's irrelevant anyway. No one plays 2K20. But by God, this show, you had your newest faction coming around losing to the top heel faction out of the Hurt Business, losing off of Full Nelson. And I understand you still want your top group to look strong, and obviously you're not going to have Bobby Lashley lose to these NXT reject SJW midgets that were literally laughed up backstage beforehand. So you already know, even in real life, they're not even taken seriously. And you have mini Roman Reigns, Mustafa Ali coming around jobbing out with crap little TikTok wrestling promos he probably rehearsed over him not getting over. And there's been many other wrestlers coming around, even retired ones, going over the fact that if they want to make something against the company, wouldn't it make sense to make a faction involving guys that have a history having blight against the company? It's like, hell, that makes a lot of sense. But no, let's go with Dio Madden, Mia Yim, that was on NXT for most of her career, Brandon, Dominic Dijakovic, that I swear people only hear of him because he wrestled a Keith Lee, and Shane Thorne. Oh, and let's just put Mustafa Ali there because he referenced the hacker gimmick and how that's not working, and he can't draw a dime. And he comes around blaming the company for not actually putting him over, even though it's his own fault. Elias was an NXT. Like, all I know about Elias back on NXT he jobbed out to probably Baron Corbin or something. And he comes around having albums, he's crossover material, the guy has a good look, great promos, and he can wrestle. He had his own thing where he was barely interrupted until he was going for an encore. Coming around singing a great song, literally part of his own album. And he sticks up to his gimmick. When's the last time you actually see wrestlers do that? So that's why Elias won't be on my piss list, because he was literally the most entertaining part of the show. And he's continuing to have this feud with Jeff Hardy, with a semblance of continuity in it. Because probably when he got ran over with nobody looking, with him not even looking, and all he can hear is the accusation involving Jeff Hardy, at least you can write something on that's going to be a bit long term. Some of this shit's barely going to last under like half the year, probably next time. And sure, you might think that, oh, I'm burying this too much. You should at least have a bit of patient feeling until whatever's going to happen. I don't mind the Hurt Business. At least they look legitimate. It makes sense. MVP's a great mouthpiece. I like Lashley. Cedric Alexander has time to develop, especially with a veteran cast. And I can actually take Shelton seriously other than him tagging randomly with another jobber white dude. I'm sorry to go on this multi-minute rant, but that was just the opening part of the show. We also had this big black dude that was the door holder, the doorman for Raw Underground, now being the bodyguard of AJ Styles. Or literally the Tyson Tomko of AJ Styles, if you guys haven't watched Impact or mid-2000 WWE, but that's besides the point. He wrestled Matt Riddle, with the ref trying to well, it's Umabagan, I can't, I'm not that African, folks. And and the commentators literally couldn't pronounce his name so bad, even though they can just call him Jordan. His name is literally Jordan. I just wanted to try to say his last name, and people think just saying Antetokounmpo was that difficult. And the match was fine. I like the intimidating factor because he's literally what the hell a Wakandan soldier looks like, and he comes around just towering over the referee, struggling to speak. The match was fine as it was, but he barely played a factor unless it came to getting outside the ring, getting a big boot or reversal off of Bro Derek. Calf Crusher couldn't do any good until he came into a cheap shot and took out Matt Riddle. Styles Clash for the win. This was a fine match. This was a fine, decent one-on-one match, and it was better than our opener. I'll at least give a positive there, and I like the standpoint of actually getting Styles something different, other than him having random mid-card feuds without any payoff, and he doesn't seem that legitimate now. He has his own bodyguard. Yeah, we don't know about the backstory on that, because wouldn't it make sense that this guy sticks with Shane McMahon or something? He was literally working for him in Raw Underground, so we don't know if probably Styles paid him a pretty penny or something like that. Next up, we had the forgettable as Raw Women's Championship match against Asuka and Lana, who won at a cross-brand battle royale in the main event of Monday Night Raw that was completely overshadowed by a brawl involving Drew McIntyre and Randy Orton. So the match went like this: Lana was holding her own, hitting some heel kicks, nearly getting out of the Asuka lock at least once. A roundhouse kick for a near fall, and Lana got a few clean shots on Asuka that were looks like she was probably gonna get Asuka locked and lose the match. Yay! Well, Lana's still a jobber. After that, Asuka was getting a group assaulted off Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler, and then they transitioned into a promo after Asuka hit Lana with a Samoan drop yet again, treating her like an absolute jobber. And then we went into a four-way tag team match after a simplified dominance, what they were saying over the promo of two ugly women beating three tag teams of at least simplified attractive women. I don't know why they're trying to treat Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler more legitimately than the women that actually could sell tickets. I don't know why. So it was Dana Brooke, Mandy Rose, Lacey Evans, and Peyton Royce. What happened to that push she was supposed to have? And of course, the Riot Squad in a four-way women's tag team title match. And I can tell you this: the match, you're not missing much. Counters off drop kicks, clothesline of uh, weak spots coming off Dana Brooke primarily, and then we start getting STO, dropkick, women's right, multiple spots until Riot Squad took control and hit Lacey Evans with their finish. Chokehold by Kakina clutch from Shayna Baszler, and then Samoan drop hitting Lacey Evans for the win. So they're still on top, and you think a mismatch of women that were literally feuding with no aspect of respect for each other, and they somehow have the success of being tag team champions. And I understand this is a better thing to do. Still makes them both unlikable and ugly as piss. And it makes every other woman that's been etching and clawing and have better chemistry than the women that literally disagree with each other at any point, but it looks like they're growing as a relationship, just feel like complete jobbers. And it just makes Shayna just feel like more of a comedic joke than how she was being a UFC female end gamer, with her like blowing out everybody at the chamber back in February, and they had her challenging Becky Lynch at Mania to tagging with Nia Jax, and she should be more on the radar. I think she's women's tag team champion. masterful performance by Elias. Had Jeff Hardy shredding the guitar after it looks like he was going for an encore, and then swinging one at Elias, ending his performance. That was actually well done. I like the song. It sounds a bit generic, and probably if I look it up on iTunes, look at that comes up next Monday, that I'm probably gonna forget half of the songs if I even listen to it. But hell, it makes me curious. Elias is actually a well-esteemed singer and pretty good on the guitar. I didn't even know he had to legitimately make songs, in my opinion. I think a lot of fans don't know that. But I stick to my guns. This guy should be an IC champion for next year. I swear to God. I mean, or a US champion. Or something, man. And just make him, like, do songs. Let him talk piss about everybody he faces. I mean, he already does that, but make it feel more impactful thanks he can actually back it up in the ring. Next up, we had Kofi Kingston against Sheamus going over. Oh, Big E's gonna bring it up in the New Day on the blue brand as well as we bring it up in the red brand. So there's gonna be spreading our seed of positivity all over the place. So corny draft promo. And you just have Sheamus here, like ending up jobbing out to like such a weak jobber-looking faction. Yet they have the most accomplishments in over a decade. It's so sad. Like, at least Kofi's a WWE champion, but it doesn't sound that bad. And there's no subligated feud for these guys except probably Sheamus just jobbing out to the New Day. It ends with a surprise Trouble in Paradise. We had counters off Irish curses, boom drops, many near falls. We knew where this was going as soon as there was a Russian leg sweep after a distraction involving Xavier. We had a Trouble in Paradise. This was a dragged out match as it was the women's match. I just felt like this was highly dragged over the standpoint of having a match that has no benefit to be this long. It was a hard fought fight that meant nothing except probably defending the honor of Big E, even though he was insulting the entire group. I don't know, man. I'm trying. We had El Gran Gordo and, well, it's Otis in a luchador outfit with Tucker, with Miz going completely off after Tucker called out Miz and Morrison backstage for costing his friend in the draft, and then causing Otis to dress up, masquerade as a luchador to get back at the Miz and Morrison. Even though, how can you sue them if they're a different brand? But whatever, we're gonna cost this underdog storyline. And Miz just went off calling him a jobber. You disgraced him, Money in the Bank briefcase, taking away legitimacy from it. And even if you put something on a pig, it's still a pig. And it's like, it's bullying, Miz. Can't say that. Can't say that. That's crossing the line, Miz. He's fat. That's like saying the N word. While that was going on, Titus was trying to get a proposition by the Hurt Business to join in because of his outside connects. The guy's a big dude, established veteran in the WWE, so that kind of makes sense. Plus, he's black, so so that would make a smidgen of sense why he would join the Hurt Business. Cedric came and jumped him as soon as it looked like he was about to join, and then they start Negro kicking him. And if you don't know what Negro kicking is, it's called they stomp the piss out of him. So of course that ended up with, you know, literally Titus O'Neil getting the boot out of an agreement with the Hurt Business to join. After that, it ends with Otis and Tucker jobbing out the Miz and Morrison for the umpteenth time over bullying. Also, I missed this. R-Truth, Tozawa, and Drew Gulak and the Lucha House Party, because now they're all in the same brand. There was a Vader bomb, then the Caterpillar. Yeah, they were interrupting over the middle of the match, making it feel unimportant, even though this involved a briefcase. Next up, we had Keith Lee and Braun Strowman over their destructive matchup they had back in the draft. They had a rematch, and it's like, oh my god, these guys already wrestled. So the importance of this collision makes no damn sense. And it's not that important anymore if it already happens. So, what happened? It ends off a low blow when the ref wasn't looking, even though it looks like he's still looking in the match. Big boot and then a power slam. We had some semblant feats of strength by Keith Lee. One off for a near fall after it looks like he put him up for a spine buster. Keith Lee came right back with a low blow, so it looks like they're going to drag this off as the rip-off feud he had with Bobby Lashley last year. Always great to see. No, I don't care. It's like we're already making Keith Lee so unimportant to lose off something is cheap, especially off a former world champion, for Braun to do a low blow. It kind of takes out the monster factor out of him. We also had a generic promo of McIntyre's like, why am I dressed up in black? Because I'm sending Randy straight to hell. And it's over complicated. At least Randy did this in the cell. He wished that, and with Drew McIntyre also noticing his experiences, his matches, and his victories over Hell in the Cell, and how he has a clear advantage because of his experience in the cage match. And it just felt dragged out. The Orton promo was a bit better because it was in better scenery, symbolizing the factor of experience Randy's been in, and what he's gonna do and how we earned respect. McIntyre then came out, obviously teasing the fact after his promo with a stare down, and then they started fighting through the steel cage to end Raw. At least that brings some hype factor over to their matchup with Randy Orton, proving that this is probably the proving ground over their feud. And Orton of decent promo. This was one of his better ones over the last 3 months of them feuding, so I was at least acceptable at this point. Other than that, the show was mediocre. Retribution looked like a joke. Oh, they made Miss Morrison feel like a joke. The women's division feels like a complete afterthought, especially Asuka defending her title against Lana of all people, and she's been whining, doing dumb crap on Twitch. She can't even do sponsorships right. This chick is just borderline dumb. And then you have, oh my god. I mean, the only positives were Elias's performance, Styles' new bodyguard, the Orton promo. I guess that's technically it. I didn't care about the Keith Lee and Strowman match. I didn't care about the Fatal 4-Way Women's match. Sheamus and Kingston could have been somewhere else. Oh, boy. And just the forceful hype promos for the Hell in a Cell match. It just feels like another gimmick. And it's hell. It's hell. It's just shut up already. God damn. But that's the show. I'm losing my energy for the rest of the review, folks. It's just going into more grammatic, chronological detail over what the hell happened on most of this episode was pretty difficult to say the least, or even to continue watching most of the matches. And I have better chances of putting you in distinct detail over what happened in NFL play and not making you go to sleep than me continuing to review this episode of Raw. But that's just my opinion on the fact. If you guys enjoyed Raw or hated it, please comment down on the comment section below. I'd love to hear your opinion on how you feel about the episode. And if you're feeling a bit more generous, you would likely subscribe, like the video, and share it with your friends. Try to spread this channel up, but that's it coming from me. Thanks for watching. Get ready for Hell in a Cell this Sunday. That's all I can say.